Hello everyone, I'm Kenshin. Welcome to Talking History. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Also, don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you. Today's historical discussion is about the exile of Kaiser Wilhelm II. Since February 24, 2022, when Putin launched the invasion of Ukraine, the situation has deteriorated. Even strategic bombers have been shot down, turning the invasion into a defensive war. Putin has even resorted to nuclear threats against the West. However, the most embarrassing part is yet to come. Many people doubted Russia's ability to win against Ukraine with Western support. But no one expected that Russia had a contingency plan for defeat shortly after the war began, which was quite unexpected. This information was revealed by Galyamov, a former Kremlin insider and Russian political analyst now living in Israel. On December 7, 2022, he stated on social media that there is reliable information indicating that in early 2022, the Kremlin had prepared a contingency plan for Putin and his top officials to retreat into exile in South America on the Noah's Ark, with destinations in Argentina and Venezuela. They could live a comfortable life there with the corrupt money. This reminded me of the exile of Kaiser Wilhelm II after World War I. Let's go back to the transition between summer and autumn of 1918. At that time, Germany was clearly showing signs of defeat and had no desire to continue the war. Therefore, Friedrich Ebert, the leader of the largest party in the parliament, the Social Democratic Party, requested the abdication of the emperor on November 6. But the situation spiraled out of control. After riots broke out in Berlin, Prince Max von Baden, the last imperial chancellor, unilaterally announced the abdication of the emperor and the crown prince without confirmation from the emperor himself on November 9 at noon. On the same day, Philipp Scheidemann, leader of the Social Democratic Party, announced the end of the monarchy and the establishment of a republic, known as the Weimar Republic. Germany surrendered to the Allies on November 11. But the emperor himself officially abdicated on November 28. On the next day, Sunday, November 10, in the early morning, Wilhelm II left his headquarters in Spa, Belgium, with only a few attendants, crossing the border into the Netherlands by train. Why did he do that? Besides the fact that the Netherlands was a neutral country during World War I, Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands had German relatives, including the mother, husband, and many relatives of the Queen. Although the Queen and her government were surprised by Wilhelm's arrival, the Queen, still haunted by the memory of the massacre of the Russian Tsar and his family a few months earlier, did not want to see the German emperor meet the same fate and agreed to shelter him. She even offered one of her castles for him to live in. Count Bentinck, a Dutch nobleman, provided his castle near Amerongen, Utrecht, for the temporary residence of the German emperor. However, he never expected Wilhelm to stay in Amerongen for 18 months. This sheltered Wilhelm in the Netherlands, saving him from being handed over to the Allies as a war criminal. What was the reason for fleeing to the Netherlands? According to William Grellner, the director of military supplies and the chief of the army headquarters, when everyone suggested that the emperor flee to the Netherlands, he remained silent, just staring at the people around him. His expression changed from shock to pitiful pleading, and then to a strange trance. He didn't say anything, so we took him away and sent him to the Netherlands, as if he were a child. In other words, this decision was not made by Wilhelm himself but by the top German leadership to protect him. Although Wilhelm II's living conditions at Amerongen Castle were not bad, with a bed rumored to have been slept in by Louis XIV, he was practically under house arrest, prohibited from leaving the castle at will, and his mail and phone calls were intercepted or monitored. When he left Germany, he was accompanied by a large entourage of servants, officers, and servants. To accommodate these people, the Netherlands faced great difficulty and financial burden. The government had to consider the expense borne by Dutch taxpayers to support the living expenses of this foreign monarch and his entourage. Eventually, Wilhelm complied with the Dutch government's request to reduce personnel, and even the Empress, who was seriously ill and rushed to join her husband, was only allowed to keep one lady in waiting. In the end, The imperial court was reduced to only 24 people. Didn't we mention the transition to the Weimar Republic in Germany? The revolutionary government froze the assets of the House of Hohenzollern on November 30, 1918, but later allowed funds to be transferred to the Netherlands, allowing the emperor and empress to live a life befitting their status. In the first year of his exile, a total of 66 million marks were donated to him, but even such a large sum was not enough to sustain the emperor and his court's lifestyle. It is evident how significant the expenses were, which is why the Dutch government was dissatisfied. In 1921, the emperor's confidants requested the Weimar Republic government to allocate 10 million marks as the emperor's living expenses. Of course, the government was initially reluctant, but eventually complied. They also allowed some treasures belonging to the royal family to be sent to the Netherlands, requiring a shipment of 59 train carriages to deliver various gold and silver treasures to the emperor. With dozens of castles, palaces, and properties retained by the emperor, he was not short of money, and his total assets at the time of his death were nearly 13 million marks. Historian John Leal, who wrote a biography of Wilhelm, once said, "No exiled monarch in modern history has been treated as generously as Wilhelm II in the Netherlands." At least compared to the new government after the Russian Revolution, the German government could be said to have been very considerate. With funds in hand, Wilhelm bid farewell to his life under someone else's roof and, in August 1919, purchased Wedoorn, a castle in the central Netherlands, including 59 hectares of surrounding gardens. He renovated the house, installed central heating and elevators, and decorated the interior with various sculptures, paintings, and memorabilia related to the House of Hohenzollern's history, attempting to create a new mini-Prussia in the Netherlands. Even Wilhelm himself took care of the gardens, chopping wood by hand, living like a small noble landlord or squire. However, even so, his movements outside Wedoorn remained restricted. But there were dangers looming over him as soon as he arrived in the Netherlands, namely, the possibility that the Allies would declare him a war criminal, demand extradition and trial, and perhaps even execution. As early as December 1918, the Allies declared him the #1 war criminal, and planned to demand extradition from the Dutch government. Due to the pressure from countries such as Britain, France, and the United States, the Dutch government once asked the emperor to leave the Netherlands, and he agreed. However, German monarchists devised many crazy plans to rescue the emperor from the Netherlands to revive the monarchy. But then the government demanded punishment for the emperor's remarks, and the Dutch government did not insist on his departure. As for why the Allies did not insist on extraditing and trying Wilhelm, mainly because internally, they had conflicting opinions. Britain and France advocated punishing Wilhelm severely, Italy hesitated, while the United States and Japan opposed holding a trial. In particular, President Wilson of the United States disagreed with punishing the former monarch in exile. The Allies proposed to hold a trial in London and list his crimes, requesting the Dutch government to extradite him, but this was ultimately rejected. Perhaps the Dutch government also knew that the Allies were not entirely united. Especially under the opposition of the United States and Japan, they refused, which might earn goodwill from these two countries, and even allow the Allies to accuse the Netherlands of non-cooperation, giving them a way out. In the end, Britain and France accepted Wilhelm's promise made on March 10, 1920, that he would not leave Wedoorn without permission and would stop all political activities, including censorship of his correspondence. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands subsequently officially announced the conditions for Wilhelm to stay in the Netherlands, guaranteeing his personal safety. Unexpectedly, he did not appreciate it, feeling insulted by the Queen, and even said he would never forgive her, stating, "During the war, the German General Staff twice planned actions against the Netherlands because of my intervention, and the Netherlands was spared only because of me." In addition to this, Wilhelm faced the risk of kidnapping. On January 5, 1919, Senator Luke Lee of Tennessee came to his door with people, attempting to take him away and hand him over to the American troops near the Rhine. It is said that a Belgian planned to use an aircraft to bomb Wedoorn. Following this, in the winter, to be cautious, the moat surrounding Wee Dawn was broken every night. And even in the autumn of 1920, it was said that a group of British people attempted to kidnap him, and the court distributed weapons and ammunition to prepare for resistance. But accompanying him, Empress Augusta Victoria died on April 11, 1921, at the age of 62, at Wee Dawn. Her dying wish was, "I cannot die. I cannot leave the Emperor alone." When the court physicians worried that he might be overwhelmed with grief, he replied, "I am not some washerwoman. My family has experienced too many deaths." However, even so, he looked very unwell for the next few days, especially when he heard that the German government did not allow him to return home to attend the Empress's funeral. He expressed his resentment, saying, "Even ordinary laborers can bury their deceased wives, but my people, who betrayed me, won't even give me this." However, after 17 months of the Empress's death, on September 18, 1922, Wilhelm became engaged to Princess Hermine of Schöneck-Karalath, and on November 5, they were married, titled, "Their Imperial and Royal Majesties, the German Emperor and Empress of Prussia." But this new empress was not well received. Many people thought she was a scheming woman, and several of Wilhelm's sons and daughters despised their stepmother. Later, it was also proven that Hermine, willing to marry Wilhelm in the hope of restoring the monarchy, turned into a bitter and resentful woman when she realized that it was impossible. Moreover, Hermine turned out to be a fervent Nazi sympathizer. Just as Hitler led the Nazi Party to overthrow the Weimar Republic and turn Germany into a war machine, when the German Wehrmacht invaded the Netherlands on May 10, 1940, many Germans suddenly realized His Majesty the Emperor was still living in the Netherlands. And on June 4 the following year, this last German emperor died at the age of 82 at Wee Dawn in the Netherlands. Back to the present, many people may wonder why Putin didn't choose his son Turkey as an exile option. Galyamov explained that initially, Putin did consider choosing China as the destination. However, it was later discovered that if he fled Russia in defeat, the chances of cooperation with Beijing were relatively slim. He even said, "The Chinese are too self-centered and look down on others, especially losers." Therefore, China was excluded, and the responsibility for the Noah's Ark project fell to Krylon, who not only had American citizenship but also resigned from his senior position at a Russian energy company to fully devote himself to this project. It is said that there were several projects to choose from simultaneously. As for why Venezuela was chosen, it was because of the good relationship between the Russian oligarch and the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro. He was also nominated to be in charge of part of the evacuation plan. It seems that the Kremlin itself had long been pessimistic about the war and had plans to escape. However, is there such a good thing in the world, to let the Russian people bear the consequences of the mess? Let's wait and see.